everybody. For those of you that don't know very much about us, we are a young and growing insurance company. We are about to celebrate our 5th anniversary, and in that time we've grown from a handful of people to over 200 employees, with 3 Lloyd's syndicates, an MGU, and over 700 million of managed premium.
While preparing for today, I sort of started thinking about my own sort of career over the years in terms of thinking about sort of the millennial issue. You could say I've taken somewhat of an unconventional route to get where I am now. So I actually joined and started work the day after my 16th birthday at what is now Tower 42, but was then the NatWest Tower. And so I had a very quick introduction to the working world. It did lead to a varied career in investment banking, asset management, broking, and now insurance. So I've spent time at Barclays as MMC and now ANV. I'm not a millennial, but I hope that I can give you some perspective on what it takes to survive and prosper in the workplace. I'm going to talk to you about what millennials want, and I'd like to turn it around and hear sort of directly from you what you want from an employer. You for now at least have chosen a career in insurance, and so we would like to understand what we need to do to actually keep you here. So as a next generation network, you are the future of this industry, so it's really important that we understand as employers what we need to do in order to retain you and grow you as individuals, so that the industry that we're in continues to grow and prosper. What is a millennial then? So depending on what definition you actually use, it's somebody born between 1980 and 2000, and by 2020 over half of the workforce will actually be millennials. You are the most educated generation, with nearly 1 in 4 holding a degree. You're used to easy access of information. You are tech savvy and expect your employers to be the same. You are social, you're willing to share your information with others, and you're charitable, and this is something that many of you volunteer or are part of some kind of charitable organisation. This lovely picture is actually of me when I started work, and actually I was under the impression before I started preparing for this that actually I was quite young. I felt that I was quite young. Interestingly, what came back in the PwC study is that it's the company, not necessarily the industry, that's important. So opportunities for progression, competitive wages, the brand of an employer, the technology that they deploy and they have at their fingertips, the corporate social responsibility agenda, and of course employing the smartest people that they can, are all more important to 90% of millennials than what sector the company actually operates in. Millennials are entering the employment space in vast numbers, and so you will shape the world of work for years to come. So your aspirations, attitudes about work, your knowledge and what you can bring in terms of new technologies is really going to define the culture of the 21st century workplace. And more frighteningly, in here, with only 1% of students saying that they're interested in insurance, compared to much higher stats for banking or professional services, for example. We need, CEOs of insurance companies need to explore strategies to make sure that we can attract and retain millennial talent within our industry. I actually went to a mentoring event that I think some of you in the room were at as well a few weeks ago as part of the Lloyd's Diversity Festival. And Sean McGovern from Lloyd's opened up the session, and it was essentially like speed dating but mentoring. But the first question he asked was, who thinks insurance is boring? And 2/3 of the room put their hands up, and I think the others just didn't want to be rude as they were sitting in Lloyd's. So what can we learn from other companies? So Google is consistently ranked in the top 5 in terms of the Times top 100 graduates employers. So they're a sexy company. They have a work environment to match. They're not good payers. They're not well known for paying their staff well, but people want to work there, and they trade off pay for better working conditions. And employees also have freedom and a say over what they do and what they spend their time on. So employees are encouraged to spend 20% of their time on a project of their choosing. The theory being that if you're working on a project you really want to be doing, then you are going to be motivated and excited by it, and therefore increasing productivity. So, you've got these sort of exciting, sexy, great working environment, Google, and then on the other side, in terms of the opposite, you've got Aldi. So they're not a sexy company, but they do pay well, and they give people responsibility and progression early. So they do get it right with their graduate recruitment scheme. This is the Sunday Times best companies to work for, and this was the top 5. So this is the annual ranking of Britain's most sort of happy and motivated workforces, and this was in the category of the 250 to 3,500 employee range. But number 1 was actually an insurance company. Now I have to say, I'm embarrassed, but I haven't actually. How many people? I've not heard of them. So how many people have heard of this company? They're an insurance company with a difference. The average age of employees is just 27. They're doing phenomenally well, but the only cloud in the sky is that, in terms of quotes from people at this insurance company, they say, insurance is an industry that has a corporate, boring and stuffy image. I feel like we're a tech company in the insurance business. So even people that are having a great time in insurance perceive the industry as a whole as boring. Lloyds are aware of this. I mean, they recognise the issue and they're doing a lot of work to lead the charge, but it's really, it's up to every company in the Lloyds market, so all the companies that employ all of you, to make sure that we're doing things that the best talent from a wide range of backgrounds, want to work and feel proud to work within this environment. In the area of diversity and inclusion, we're ahead of the charge here. We're doing pretty well in terms of gender. So we are in the 1% of insurance businesses that have a female CEO. I'm the CEO of ANV Group, but the CEO of ASL, which is our managing agency, is also a woman. 41% of our senior manager roles are held by women. And so we have no shortage of female role models within ANV, but we don't make the most of them. So, we need to make sure we make the best use of both male and female role models and leaders as part of a mentoring program, and we don't have that yet, so we should make sure we do that. 71% of our executive committee is non-British, which is good for a predominantly Lloyds organisation, and means we have sort of people from different cultures. But we do need to do better in attracting ethnically diverse talent to ANV. Clear progression paths was another sort of theme. So within ANV, 43% of our staff globally are millennials. 50% of the promotions that we made this year have been to the millennial group. And nearly 47% of our managers globally are aged 40 or under. There's a young firm that wants to grow and get bigger. It's really important to us that we have the right values and we can create the right culture. If insurance is your passion, then that's great. And if it's not, think about what is and then and go after it. I've been incredibly lucky to work with some really, really smart people and people that are, icons within the financial services sector, and you can really learn a lot from people. So make sure that you take advantage of opportunities to learn from others that you work with. Go the extra mile. Everybody says it, but people notice. I notice it in my position. People go the extra mile, and it's not killing yourself, but it's having the right attitude and sort of responding at times where a company really needs people to pull together. Have confidence. I think this is the greatest gift you can have in terms of if you're confident, and it's not to be confused with arrogance, but if you're confident where you're confident to ask the question, put your hand up, put yourself forward for things, say yes. So this is about, someone asks you to do, say yes. I mean, learn from, try and grasp opportunities, and if even if inside you're thinking, God, I'm not sure I can do that, say yes and have a go, because it may well actually turn out much better. Learn from your mistakes and also those of others. I've worked with some really smart people that made some horrendous mistakes in terms of how they ran things and how they managed people. And so in terms of learning how not to do things from smart people, as well as learning how to do things, and then if you make mistakes, learning from them and not repeating them. Be you. I never tried to be one of the men or one of the boys, because I think I've got different skill set that I can bring, that is unique to me, and that's why I've got that seat at that table. Integrity really matters. So with the decisions that you make or the things that you're asked to do, make sure that you can look at yourself in the mirror the next day. Because as long as you can, then whether you make a mistake or not, you'll feel in your heart that you actually did the right thing. And the last thing, be nice. People remember if you're nice, and people certainly remember if you're not nice to them. Okay? Thank you very much. So I'm now going to hand over to...
What is it we're doing wrong as an industry then? What is it we're doing wrong in trying to, you know, attract people and keep people?
I think part of the issue is it's not promoted, so people don't know about it. So at university careers fairs, there's sort of focus on the other industries, it's the banking and it's the law, and I think it's this perception that people don't think it sounds as interesting.
Financial fintech services industry is worth, you know, huge amounts of money and has changed the banking industry masses. Do you think insurance technology has got the same potential for development? I mean, if you walk around Lloyd's now, you still people see writing on slips, and you know, why don't people use a tablet or something, you know, that just sort of changes that whole process?
Yeah, I think there's a huge amount of opportunity in the fintech world, and the overlap between financial technology companies, particularly on the sort of the sharing, the what's the word? You know, the LinkedIn, how people communicate, and our ability to build products, especially in the consumer world, that fits within that sort of mindset. But it is very difficult to get that sort of move forward. There's a lot of talk at the moment about big data and how
the Internet of Things.
Internet of Things, big data, and how all this sort of thing works. Our industry tends to be very, very slow, and then incredibly quick at the end. And I think whereas other industries are sort of following that much more sort of progressively, I think we'll tend to resist it for a long time, and then there'll be a big explosion at the end. And for companies like ANV, who are investing a lot in things like big data, being there from the beginning is going to be absolutely key for us.
How do we get that industry-wide change rather than just pockets of change that actual people want?
A diverse board is a more profitable company, and I think that you can't argue with this. I think we absolutely have to do this, and that will be the only language that our competitors will talk. You know, are we doing better? Why are we doing better?
What tips do you have for the partnership that you think there should be between the millennials and Generation X, and sort of encouraging that diversity of thought? Like the point you made about boards, should there be a millennial on every board?
I quite like the idea of quotas and making sure that you have representation from lots of different areas on the board. But short of that, and I know that not everybody supports that, it's about giving people the forum to say what they think, safe in the knowledge that they're not going to say the wrong thing, if you like. They're not going to be punished for doing something different, for saying something different. Taking it seriously and applying it to what you're doing already, I think, is very important.
We're quite fortunate, we have a lot of small teams, so I know that if I've got a problem I can go to my boss, and like Bruce and Kathy were both saying, if I've got a problem or if I'm scared to do something, I know I can go and speak to him about it, or if I do it, I know that he'll support me, because we're very close like that, and I think a lot of the teams are the same.
We mentioned previously that it was not something that was promoted in school, university, had never really heard of it, and it's such a huge market right on our doorstep. And I think, what would you all say if you went to school now, secondary school or university, to sell the industry? Like, you had 30 seconds to say, what would you, to differentiate between banking, something else, what would be your 30 seconds?
When I first joined, they showed me the book where the Titanic was insured or when it crashed and everything, and seeing that and knowing all of that, it's just so secluded and no one really says anything, but until you actually come into Lloyd's and see the engine room. So I'd be trying to pitch it that way, and about the relationships you can build as well.
I've seen the medical evidence on the Rolling Stones. You know, it's kind of interesting. You get to see some interesting risks, and that's another way.